Hey everybody, it's Aaron here with Robert, and welcome to Get Your Geek On's review of Ms. Marvel. What are we on? Episode 4 now? 5?
No, five,
6? 10?
five.
So
Which means there's only one left.
yeah, this week is the last episode comes out this week.
Yep. Well, last episode is coming soon, but before we get there, we got to talk about this episode, and
Yes.
I guess what our hopes and dreams for the finale might be. Right. So, full spoilers
Yeah.
ahead. We will be talking about the series as a whole up through episode 5, and so this episode. We got like half of it took place in the past, and in 1947 ish, or a little bit before then. Even I think it started in 1942. I think, and then we had the 5-year flash forward as well. But anyways, how did you feel about this episode in total? Because this was kind of it was a little bit of a mix in terms of what we got. Like, we didn't see Kamala for half of the episode, and so that was a little bit jarring for me.
Yeah, it was a little bit odd in that sense, I would say. I did enjoy it. Again, it felt a little weak for me, but I did like that we kind of I guess for me, and this is how I took it a little bit, I know that during World War II there was a lot going on, a lot of countries, borders were changing, empires were falling, new ones were rising up. So it was kind of cool that we got to see what's kind of happening in their part of the world, because coming from a Jewish background with my father's name, you hear a lot about what's going on with the Jews and all that. So it's kind of interesting to see what happened to them and how they were kind of also ostracized too, because of their beliefs and their culture. So it was kind of cool to me to, as just someone that watches media in general, that we got to see that. Like, we normally don't get to see that. We normally get to hear, the Jews this, the Jews that. And it's like, yes. And don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying what happened to them whatsoever, but it also shows that what's happening to every culture, every country around that same time frame, with Europe, with us, with Russia, with Japan, with everything going on in the world at that time. So I enjoyed it, that part. I did enjoy that we got to see like more of her, like what kind of where the backstory comes from. It's not really just about her, it's about her lineage, or lineage, I'm sorry, actually.
Yeah.
And I love that we got all that. I love we got to see like the grandmother, or it would be great grandma, sorry, at that point. So yeah, that's what I mean.
I think it was jarring to not have Kamala in it for the first half of the episode, but I will say that I really enjoyed getting to know Aisha and Hassan, her great grandparents, and seeing their journey. I thought it was a really effectively told love story. We could have spent a little bit more time with them and maybe stretched it out a little bit more. Like when they revealed that she was pregnant. I mean, I knew like 20 seconds before, just based on the shot. It was like, we're gonna pull back and it's gonna reveal that she's pregnant. Like, this is
we had to get that shot.
It was a really obvious kind of setup, and so I was, I would have liked maybe a little bit more time kind of establishing their relationship. But overall, like, I thought it was really sweet. I thought their chemistry was really good, and you kind of got that she's kind of running from something, and then as Hassan says, when he finally finds out, or discovers that a little bit more specifics, he's like, I don't care, like, you chose us and that's what matters. So I really liked that. I liked, as you said, as they touched on what was going on because of their their faith, their Muslim faith, and where they lived and how that was impacting them. And it's kind of that making the partition storyline be specific to their family. What did their family go through? And so I appreciated all that. It did seem, the face off with Najma and what happened at the train station between her and Aisha, like that, those things were kind of like, I don't know, that portion of it didn't work as well for me, because I was like, why is Najma, like, if Aisha is the only person that knows where this bangle is, why is she so quick to just kill it? Like, don't you think you should maybe try and get that information from her?
That would make more sense, you would think, like, not just the automatic stabby stab. Now I'm going to lose it for another 70 years. And
right. As well as, what draws her to it in the present day is Kamala using it, but then she's literally at the train station and it gets used in the past, and that doesn't draw her to it. So there's questions I have about
the
those
consistency
things.
is not there, and that was one thing I didn't like, is that
Yeah.
like, why are we not getting that? And then of course, why is it that no one else sees the lights except them three, basically? And
yeah, I don't know.
One, there's a whole freaking P group.
There's something weird happening with this, because it's like, you know, first off, this is not the time travel rules that were established in Endgame. Like, these are totally different, because this is like Harry Potter rules. Like, I'm a big Harry Potter nerd. I'm sure you've seen the movies at least. And so like that in the third book, in the third movie, when he has to cast his Patronus, you know, to like save himself and Sirius from the Dementors. And at first he thinks it's his dad, and then, oh, it was me all along. I was the one that did it, right? And this is like the same thing. It's like Kamala figures out as she's like, oh, I'm the one that has to lead my grandmother to safety.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like, well, this is a totally different time travel rule than we got in Endgame, which is basically like, if you go into the past and you change something, that affects and makes that future of that timeline be like an offshoot. It's no longer the one you came from. And so that's kind of it didn't make sense. Now, are you going to say there's something mystical going on? It's the bangle, it's whatever. This is a very specific way that it can be used. Okay, maybe, but they didn't officially explain that. And so it's kind of, you know, okay, we have to make some assumptions. We have to just, okay, like it. But is there an aspect of that because of that and the way it happened, that's why they were the only people that could see? Is like you had to have some kind of connection to the Noor in order to see the light, which is not the case in current day when Kamala uses the bangle and uses her powers. Everyone can see it. So it's just kind of like, there's definitely some inconsistencies. Now, that being said, I liked all of these scenes. I liked it. I just have questions.
Right. And see, I mean, I guess that's the whole, we also have the, I can't remember the name, the Doctor Strange, his teacher. I can't remember her name all of a sudden. Oh my gosh.
The ancient one.
The ancient one, yeah. We also had her in Avengers Endgame kind of explain, like, when you take things out, it does create a new timeline. But Hulk was the only one that was like, oh no, it's gonna fix it. Don't worry about it. We're gonna put it right back where it was.
Right.
But it never said if that was true, that there wouldn't be another timeline. And then we have Loki, of course, what happened in that series where it just destroyed the timeline.
And even in the first Doctor Strange movie, we have like him manipulating time and creating time loops, you know, types of. So is this like a defined time loop that it always had to happen this way because this is how it's always happened, or whatever? Again, like, there are explanations. They're just not given in this episode, which is fine. Like, they don't have to explain everything in every episode, but they did spend so much time in Endgame explaining how time travel worked that now that we're seeing a different thing, we're having to go, but wait a second, you said it worked this way. And so that's where the confusion's coming in.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, what I need to happen is I need a police box to come in with Doctor Who, and he just says wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, and everyone's like, well, okay, well, that makes sense.
I think what you need is Ant-Man going like, so Back to the Future is all bullshit. Because that's what he did in Endgame.
I need that to happen, and go from there.
Maybe Kamala just needs to have another conversation with Ant-Man. Maybe she'll join his podcast, right? And she can...
that'd be funny. That would be funny as heck to see.
So now, moving out of the past, we get back to present day, where, you know, the event that happened that sent Kamala back in time caused some sort of, you know, explosion or whatever, like energy burst, where it knocked everyone off and over, and now they're, you know, recovering. We've seen this tear in the veil. We get, you know, we've been going through these clandestines in the last couple episodes like they're paper characters. I mean, we got two that died from stabbing, and now another one that just like reaches into the veil and just immediately dies.
Yeah.
And then we get this weird like moment with Najma where she somehow transfers power to Kamran across continents while also closing the veil, while also seemingly dying. And it's just like, I don't understand what happened. I really am trying to wrap my brain around how did any of that happen?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Nope, because it doesn't. Is it okay? Sorry, kiddo. Yeah, it's. I don't know.
It's a weird sequence.
I mean, I commented, I think, on some of it too, where it's like two of them died, and she was just like, or one dies, and she's like, whatever. Then the other one died. She was like, oh.
Yeah,
And
that was in
like,
the last episode.
Okay, so yeah, it's like one of those. I don't understand any of it. And then we get the whole like, I can shut this down and stop this, and she sacrifices herself for the son's purposes, right?
I guess, but like again, I don't understand. Was that intentional? Was she trying to transfer her power to him, or the power of the Noor? Like, it's not clear what happens in that moment, and I don't know, because again, the time we've gotten with Najma, she's been, at when we first get introduced to her, she's pretending to be nice, but I think we could all tell that she was actually evil and a liar and all of those things. We've had her be pretty much evil for the entire series. We see her, stabbing Aisha in this episode, like she's evil, and then I don't know if that was meant to be like a redemption moment where she's like, I'll close this veil and protect this world, and also give my powers to my son because I love him. And it's like, that doesn't fit with everything that's come before. So that's making me go like, okay, was any of that intentional? Like, is she potentially coming back in some way? Like maybe that didn't kill her, even though we see her like basically get disintegrated.
Yeah.
So I just don't know.
And I will
what
say,
happened in that
moment. And again, these moments take me out because I forget they're a TV show. The budget, that was really bad. Like those disintegration things for me personally.
It's funny because I thought of two things immediately when it happened.
Okay.
The first one I thought of was like Raiders of the Lost Ark, when they open the Ark and like all these horrible things happen. I thought of that, but I also thought of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. When there's a storyline in like season 2 and 3 where we get an Inhuman storyline, and when people come in contact with the Terrigen Mist, they get like covered in this like husk almost, and then they either become Inhumans because they have the Inhuman gene, or that kills them, like, so being exposed to the Terrigen Mist either unlocks your Inhuman abilities or kills you in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. universe. And so it felt a little bit like an homage. It was much faster in Ms. Marvel than it happens in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where it's like, that's more like a 2 to 3 second process of being covered, and then it takes a little bit for either you to disintegrate and die or become an Inhuman, whereas this was like instantaneous. But it did remind me of that, and it kind of, I was wondering, I was like, are they gonna come back and retcon this and say that this is the Terrigen Mist and these are Inhumans? Like, I just don't know at this point.
And I'm wondering if that's what they're going with, because we saw the Kree arm with the bangle on it before, and the Kree are the ones who experimented on humans, creating the Inhumans, creating Black Bolt, Medusa, and everybody, their whole lineage. And so it's like, okay, I think that's what it's leaning into, and like they're keeping it like kind of in that bubble. Like you don't know 100% what's going on. You just know we're called like jinns or genies, and that we have some kind of magical powers, but we even don't know why. And we're not really going to explain more except that they're from another dimension. But if we don't,
go ahead, continue.
No, but I was gonna say, but if we don't know enough on the science, again, these are people who, like, the people that are explaining it to her are the people who seem to either hear it secondhand or have like some kind of knowledge, like, oh, it's another dimension. Another dimension could just be another universe or another planet. We don't know if he really means like, oh, this is going to take over, because the way he talks about it, how it takes over is what the Kree do. They take over planets. They basically turn those people into Kree like slaves, or if they're strong enough, they turn them into soldiers, Ms. Marvel, obviously, and go from there. So they kind of incorporate the people. So I'm like, maybe it is really, I really hope that it's the Inhumans, and like maybe we get, I don't want to see the original actor of Black Bolt. Maybe we'll get somebody to come out though. Maybe like we'll see a Medusa, or we'll see a Black Bolt, or just maybe we'll even get like a picture of I would honestly love to see just a shadow of Lockjaw. Like somebody just teleports in and all you see is the shadow of Lockjaw, and that's it. Because then it's like, oh, we are going to lead it to Inhumans. Cool.
Yeah, it feels like they're leaving the door open.
Exactly.
Like they're not going to definitively say it one way or the other in this show. I think they're going to explore that more in the Captain Marvel movie, in the sequel, where, you know, we know that Ms. Marvel is going to be in that, and that, you know, obviously Captain Marvel has a connection to the Kree, and, you know, so are they going to explore this further in that movie? Where is it going to be fully explained? We don't know, but it seems like they're at least leaving the door open to officially calling her an Inhuman,
right?
Which I think I would appreciate. Like, I would like them to go that route, and actually, you know, give us this actual like comic source origin, as much as they've obviously changed some things from the comics. Like, I think that's something that could work, and they've left it open. Now, I will say again, I thought it was really sweet, like the interaction between her and her mom, as her mom, you know, finds out that she is, you know, Light Girl, as she said. I thought the earlier scene where she finds, you know, it learns about Find a Phone, it was hilarious. That was as she's like, is this a spyware for parents? Why didn't anyone tell me? That's funny. I appreciated that. And yeah, the biggest portion of this episode, besides some of the questions I had, that I thought it was way too abrupt the way it ended. Like, I liked the scene with Kamran and Bruno, and I thought that was really nice how, you know, Kamran came to him for help, and you get him calling him Brian again, and then, you know, it's like, okay, let's restart. And he's like, oh my gosh, I seriously thought your name was Brian this whole time. Like, I thought that was a sweet way to do it, like, and kind of tie that up.
I like that it wasn't him being a jerk, because I was curious. I'm like, is he just that much of a jerk? And he's like, oh my God, I am so sorry. Like, I didn't know this.
And this is an area where, you know, I want a slight spoilers for the comics as well as potential future for the show.
Right.
Kamran does end up being an antagonist.
Right.
In the comics. And I really hope they don't do that. It's certainly not in this last episode. That turn will feel way too quick, because he's been a good guy for this whole time. The whole time we've known him, he was a little bit like, he wasn't upfront with Ms. Marvel, with Kamala about what was happening, but he was clearly, like, they had a real connection. He did, you know, betray his family to warn her and help her, all these things. Like, we've seen him be a nice guy, and so I really hope they don't take him in this final episode and turn him into, you know, like an antagonist or villain. Like, maybe if they do it down the road, they go through some more things, and it, like, I could be okay with that, but I really hope they don't just all of a sudden turn on a dime, because it feels like they haven't set that up.
I hope not. I hope they kind of draw. Now, I don't want like the Ms. Marvel where we kind of knew in the beginning, what's his name, the actor that was the villain, Jude Law.
Oh, right?
We already knew he was the villain. I want it to be a slow burn for this guy. Like, maybe he starts off good, but like, my family's dead. What do you mean? That kind of starts turning him evil. What do you mean this happens? What do you mean?
I mean,
like,
it's
these little things.
It's almost the Harry Osborn storyline from Spider-Man 3, the original Sam Raimi, where it's like, you killed my dad, you killed the Green Goblin. And so, like, is he going to have this where it's like, you killed my family, you killed my mom, you killed, you know, these aunts and uncles, like, you killed everyone. And, you know, you have that, and that maybe drives this wedge between him and Kamala that eventually causes him to be an antagonist. Like, I could be okay with that. I just don't want him to, like, flip on a dime and all of a sudden, you know, just go evil. I really hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, and I hope not too. I want it to be what I was, you know, what if you go back to like Green Lantern movie, even though it was cruddy, but it was the slow turn of Sinestro. He wasn't the main villain. It took the whole movie for him to go evil, and he wouldn't even go evil at the end. It was more like, well, we need this power too, so let me try it on. And it would have been cool to see him like be a good guy at first too, as a Yellow Lantern, but then slowly like start switching, like during the movie, like halfway through the movie, maybe he starts getting that mindset of like, no, like the yellow, maybe the power consumes him or something. Like, but that would have been cool to see. Like the first half of the movie or the first act is all Sinestro, like, yeah, I'm still a good guy, and then the second half it's like, I'm a good guy, maybe, and then the third act is like, nope, complete villain now. So that way we get 2 full movies of like a flushed out villain
Yeah.
And I would love to see it with this guy. Like, give me another season where he's helping her and like working with her, and then slowly start turning as the season progresses. And then the last episode's the big fight. Like, nope, I've decided to switch finally, and we're done. And you got 2 seasons of me kind of being a good guy, but now I'm gonna start killing Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, you know, like there's precedent for this in the MCU. You look at the first Doctor Strange movie with Mordo. Yep. Like Mordo has that mindset, you know, of he's very rigid, as I think the Ancient One even calls him. Like, this is his belief set. This is what he believes. And so he feels betrayed by the Ancient One, and he feels betrayed through this process, but he does help. You know, in the final battle, he's protecting the Earth and doing all those things, but he has that, you know, the bill comes due always. And so that mindset, so that by the time you get to the post-credit scene, it doesn't feel out of character that he's wanting to, you know, take this power away from other guys. There's too many sorcerers, as he said. There's too many people manipulating power for personal reasons, or for, you know, like, this is not what it was intended to be. And that was one of the things, spoiler alert for the Doctor Strange movie that's now on Disney Plus, so you've had a chance to watch it, even if you don't go out to the theaters. That was one of the things that was most disappointing to me, is they didn't follow up on that thread from the first movie. And so hopefully we still get that at some point.
I think we will.
Because I really like that of, you know, the friend turned foe, the you know, person who goes through just a different journey. They go through different circumstances, and it leads them to a different place, and they end up on opposite sides. It's, you know, Professor X and Magneto. It's, you know, the same type of, like, we're just looking at this from different perspectives. Maybe we both see the same picture, but we're looking at it from opposite sides, and that's causing us to be in conflict. And so that's something I'm hoping for with this show. I just don't want it to be in the season finale. And all that being said, obviously it feels like what we're building to, based on where this episode ended and what we got earlier, is we're going to have some sort of final conflict with the Department of Damage Control. Yeah. Which is going to feel weird, because we haven't seen them since like episode episode 3, I think? Like
2 or 3. No, 3. Yeah, you're right. 3.
And it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, this show, I really love all of the characters. I love Kamala. I love her family. I love her friends. The villains were pretty much meh. You know, they were kind of, we're standard mustache twirling bad guys. And that includes the Department of Damage Control. And so the plot of this show has been iffy, but I just have to say, I've been enjoying it so much because I enjoy watching these characters. I'm just like, it's just delightful to watch the episodes. And so I'm hoping that episode 6 makes me feel the same way, that we get something interesting. And my big question is, are we going to get any more information about the second bangle? Because that was dropped early on in the show.
But we don't know where it is.
That there's supposed to be a second bangle. And I did hear another show, another person that was reviewing it said, what if that bangle somehow got turned into the 10 rings? And so it got, you know, chopped up or whatever, and is the 10 rings. And I'm like, oh, that's an interesting, like that'd
be an interesting theory. I hope not though, because I want the 10 rings to be its own little thing.
Yeah. And that's one of those things where, you know, I think the speculation around her bangle is that, you know, it's maybe the cosmic bands, which I think the original Captain Marvel used in the comics. You know, he had the 2 cosmic bands, I think is what they were called. And so maybe it's those, which would indicate it's not the 10 rings, but, you know, we'll see. The MCU is different. They're not the same as the comics. And so we did know that temple where they found the first bangle was like, had the 10 ring symbol on it. So is there some kind of connection there? Yeah. Who knows? But either way, I've been enjoying the ride of this show a lot, as much as maybe the story hasn't been as tight as I would like it to be, or as interesting with the villains as I would like it to be. I've still just been enjoying it, and I'm really looking forward to the finale and ultimately just seeing more of these characters in the future.
Same. So we'll find out more about that tomorrow, and then we'll record our last final review of Ms. Marvel. Yeah, 2 days, or 2 days, because when this will be released. So we'll find that out in a couple of days, but this week, and then we'll have our review of that. And definitely check out all of our other stuff at Official GYGO on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all of that stuff. And for now, we'll go wrap it up. I'm Aaron, and that's Robert, and this is Get Your Geek On, and stay geeky and get your geek on, guys.
Bye.